He had a routine case where they were looking for assets, a money laundering case, and he was hired by a New York company to find assets in a money laundering thing, and he did that. 5 days of surveillance, worked with 2 NYPD retired guys, spoke to 2 federal agents about the case back in 2016-17, never thought about it again, and then 4 years later, they came to our house.
Okay, scapegoated by the FBI, at least. That's the claim of one private investigator who was convicted of stalking a New Jersey couple on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party. You just heard actress Martha Byrne talking about that right there, about her husband, Michael McMahon. McMahon is a former NYPD sergeant who worked as a licensed private investigator in New Jersey for 2 decades. He was hired in fall 2016 to do surveillance on a home and use public records to find assets, this was his job, registered to the couple who lived there.
Exactly, and McMahon stands by the fact that he did what he has done on hundreds of jobs previously, and local police were completely aware of his location and what he was doing. But 2 years later, federal agents surrounded his home that he shares with his family, and his wife, Martha Byrne, joins us live now in studio with an update on her husband's case. Martha, great to have you back with us on American Agenda. I know that this has been harrowing for you and your family, but give us an update of the new turn of events. What's going on now?
So my husband was found not guilty on count 1 in the case, which was conspiracy to violate FARA, but he was found guilty on violating FARA, interstate stalking and stalking. So of course we filed motions to dismiss and get a new trial because there was so much that happened at the trial that was just false. You know, there were so many, on day 1, the prosecutors came out with a false story and started lying to the jury. And I'm sitting there infuriated going, how can you do this? How can you put together this story to get your win? And so we filed motions to dismiss, overturn the case, and then the government came back and said, well, we did, maybe that was not true, some things that we said at the trial, which is shocking to me that I'm even saying that. But put that aside because there's so much overwhelming evidence against him. But unfortunately, that overwhelming evidence was made up scenarios by the government to the jury. And, they asked to put in evidence to the judge because they wanted to make my husband look like a bad person, an unlawful person. And they told the judge that we will bring witnesses to prove what we're saying. And they allowed that evidence in. And guess what? No witnesses. So how can you put this out to the jurors and as a story, as truth, when it was not? It's shocking. My husband is the only person in this case that told the truth. The FBI lied on criminal complaints. They took that lie and held that out for the entire trial and kept regurgitating it over and over again. And even though it was proven that that was not true. Yeah. It's really heartbreaking about our justice system that could even happen to an innocent person.
Do you think this, in some way, is somebody may have a vendetta or they want to go after police officers? We kind of see that in our country happening right now in certain cities. Do you think that this could be the case and the real reason behind that?
Well, I think my husband was the only American citizen. He was the only, person who was, a retired cop. It's good clickbait. It is a face for this fox hunt operation. I hate to think that they would have a vendetta against him specifically, but I feel like it was. If this wasn't China, I don't know if we'd be sitting here talking about it right now. But there was another case going on in the Southern District of New York at the same time as the investigation into my husband's case, and none of those private investigators were arrested. So how can something be a crime? Surveillance is legal. PIs do it.
Sure.
It's like arresting a plumber for changing a pipe. That's what they do.
Job.
Yeah, that's their job. So I feel like he was used as scapegoated as the face of this case, and he's innocent. They knew that for years. The FBI had been investigating this for 4 years. They spoke to the Chinese agents, as Christopher Wray called them, an organized crime syndicate. Our FBI agents are talking to them, but not five members of highly decorated law enforcement in this case over 4 years. Case agent never spoke to my husband. Not one person who worked on this case testified at trial. None. So if this is such a big case, why are you not able to get up on the stand and stand by it, right? Because we couldn't cross-examine you, right? So we're gonna, we're the judge. She is a fair judge. I've heard that wonderful things about her, and I really look forward to her reading these motions and hopefully overturning this verdict or giving us a new trial, because what happened there was a travesty to our family, but also to anybody who is an innocent victim who gets wrapped up for whatever reason, political, personal, in someone else's agenda.
Unfortunately, we see a lot of that going on in the country right now.
Yeah, and we want to help other people. I mean, that's our goal in the long run, to say if we can stand up and fight this, because it's not easy. You know, we were not, our family was kind of put in danger, and we weren't protected, and that should never happen.
Well, Martha Byrne, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so
moving
much.
forward in your family, and we'll help you guys get through.
Thank you so much. You can go to thepipehitterfoundation.org too to want to hear more about our case and help us. I really appreciate that. The pipehitterfoundation.org. Michael McMahon, someone they support. And you guys, thank you so much for having us on. It's so important to tell our story.
All right, thank you. And we're going to take a look.